Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching us from a different time zone, good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. And if you are watching me for the first time, my name is Marilyn. I'm the CEO and founder of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we are Asia's most trusted training and business solutions partner. We have created programs and still continue to do so that adds value and impact for leaders to stay relevant, adapt to the next normal, and ensure performance of a hybrid team. And our mission is to inspire sustainable transformation by empowering leaders through customized learning solutions that drives outcomes and impact. We have served over 4,500 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, Ayala Group, Meralco, Aboitiz, Seda Hotel, Shell, and more. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce the leader that I actually work with. I had the opportunity to be working with, in fact, partnering with, and learning from as well. Yati has over 20 years of experience in the consulting and training industry, taking various roles in the areas of learning and development, product development, business development, customer service and training institution management, and her areas of expertise includes instructional design, call center management, sales coaching, project management, e-learning, and school management. Without so much further ado, I'd like to invite Yati. Hi, Yati.
Hi Marilyn, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for accommodating me. I mean, I've been inviting you for the last probably 2 years or so. And I'm glad to finally have you today. And of course, we would like to invite our audience to join us in this conversation. Let us know if you have questions. Join us in this conversation. Share with us your takeaways from what you will learn from this conversation as well. And again, like I've mentioned to our audience, Yati, we actually get to meet each other first through online, right? With the X Factor program, like in was that in 2021? Yeah, right.
It's been
And
about maybe about 2 to 3 years ago.
yeah, so it's been a while, and now we had the opportunity to work together,
Mm.
and I am glad to be actually learning from you as well. So thank you so much once again for taking time to have this conversation with me about a very important topic, which is on leadership. So
My
I have
pleasure.
yeah, which is our favorite topic, and we are very passionate about this topic. So let's get started. I have introduced you for a bit. I don't know if I have given justice to what you have done in the past. So, if you would like to add more, particularly on the theme of leadership and transformation, and share with them like who you are, what you do, what your experience are, in 2 to 3 minutes, please do so.
Okay. So I will call myself as an edupreneur. So I've been an entrepreneur for the past, I would say, more than, yeah, coming to almost 20 years now. And, my background has been in the software engineering. I'm a software engineer by training, and it evolves. My life story evolves, right, from an engineer to become an entrepreneur. And I intentionally choose education as my preferred business for many reasons. And then I'll share more during our conversation in a while.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing with us. And again, like I know that you've actually worked with some of the biggest companies as well, that you didn't share actually. But I know that you've actually worked previously in some of the multinational companies or well known
That's right.
companies as a software engineer. Is that Microsoft, if I remember
Yes.
correctly? Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I'm a consultant for many MNCs.
mhm.
Um, I have actually started the e-learning business like that was in 2003 when we had that was my I think the biggest project ever.
Mm-hmm.
We were serving like 20,000 users in 27 countries in
Wow.
7 languages.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that was the big wave of the e-learning before it kind of died towards 2008. And then the e-learning wave came in again, like in 2015, and now it's just going to continue to become bigger.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And so, having said that, you've worked with multinational companies in the past for your consulting and even employment. And now you have actually moved to being an entrepreneur, right? So, please share with us who are actually your influencers and if you have any favorite leadership style that actually leads you, how you define what leadership is for you now.
Okay. When we talk about influences, for me personally, will be my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They are our role models, and I would say that their parenting styles, how they respond to life experiences and life challenges, and the set of values that they inculcated in their children have definitely a significant impact on shaping my values now, my
Mm-hmm.
behaviors, and the leadership styles. And you're a parent yourself, right? When you have a father and a mother, you look at them, and I'm very much observant to see how my dad will take the softer role, and then my
Mm-hmm.
mom will be the harder one. I think naturally moms are, the fiercer one, the harder one. So I think observing how they actually take care of us,
Mm-hmm.
and their parenting styles really have an impact on how I see lives as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that you actually started with that. And again, it's a reminder for every one of us, especially for parents like us, right? Where we actually have to be very mindful of what we do, what we say, how we respond to things as well, because our children are watching. Not
exactly.
only watching, but they're following what we do, like what you've mentioned, right? When you think of your influencers, it's definitely, without thinking about it, it's parents, straightforward, right? And you're watching them. How are they responding to the life experiences, the challenges, and how do they solve these, and even the values that they inculcate with you, right? And so, having said that, we have to be very mindful as parents. As parents, we are actually leaders, right? Um, and we share this, all of these, to our children, which they will like bring until they actually uh grow up, right? So thank you so much for reminding us that, because at the end of the day, being a leader as well starts from home, right?
Correct. The setting that I used to have,
Mm-hmm.
we started with a very humble background,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing that I remember what my parents used to tell us is this. He said that one thing that they will leave us with is
Mm-hmm.
not wealth, but is knowledge and education.
Mm-hmm.
And that stays a lot,
Mm-hmm.
in me, because that's exactly right. What allows you to make your lives better? With
Mm-hmm.
education, you can get better job, you can get better salary, and then better lives. So I think that whole setting really unconsciously have
Mm-hmm.
impacted my life journey, I would say. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why those who have actually, I mean, like we learn from both bad and good experiences, but those people who actually have very good parents who really supports them, who inculcates values, as you've mentioned, those are the ones who are actually like responds to life, to challenges better than than anything or anyone else, right? So thank you for sharing that. And so, I mean, based on that experience you've shared, and from your experience as well working as a corporate leader, as well as having your own business now, and working still with corporate leaders, right, from the multinational companies like what we both do. So what would you say would be the top three problems that most leaders do face?
Okay, first of all, there are many problems that we face and keep us awake at night. But when it
True.
comes to leadership itself, I will
Mhm,
think that as a business owner and as a leader in a company, and now I run a training company and also a private school. I would say that there are three most top what would see issues that always be in my mind.
mhm,
Number one will be, how do I continuously motivate and
mhm,
engage my team members?
mhm,
Okay, because right now we are dealing with different age groups and different generation.
exactly.
Like the baby boomers to the X to the Y generation, and now to the Z, and you hear all the strawberry generation. How
Mhm,
do we now engage them and keep them continuously to be excited and wanting to come to work, right? We need
mhm,
to understand what motivates them. What is it that they look out for?
mhm.
Because maybe my generation, we don't think too much. The only reason why we go to work is because we want to earn money, right? But the
True.
motivational factors for the younger generations will be different. They
Mhm,
look out for to meet someone. They look out for something that allows them to have the flexibility, to have the freedom to make decision. It is very different, and I think that is something that leaders need to be aware of. They cannot make use of one fits all leadership approach for every employee in the organization. It doesn't work anymore. Okay, so motivation and engagement, right?
mhm,
Secondly, I would think is, how do we educate and prepare our employees and team members to be ready for the VUCA world? You
mhm,
know, you can see how the environment is changing very fast and things are getting very unpredictable. You do not know what's going to happen in the coming years. COVID came in without much warning, and it's
mhm.
just like it's
True.
just come immediately. So coming back to us being a leader, how do we then prepare our team members to be ready for those things?
Mhm,
I remembered how we actually have to make what do you call that, immediate changes, and to move things quickly when the government of Singapore announced that there's going to be a shutdown,
mhm,
right? So I remember how that few nights we actually have to quickly shift around computers, allow staff to bring home, and I remember how we transported laptops, all these machines to homes.
mhm,
Okay, and this is something that we take it for granted, right? Like, it's so easy and all that. And having said that, I mean, moving things, moving laptops and machines to homes is not the biggest of a problem. I think
mhm,
what is the greater problem is, how do you how do you work alone in your own personal rooms? I think that was, I would not say a challenge, but
mhm,
something that as leaders we need to be able to support and facilitate that.
mhm.
Because
True.
while you think that is fun, Well, you do not need to go and dress up and go to work. You can have your freedom to have your snacks at all time at home to work. But there are employees struggle by working at home,
True.
right? So this is just an example. Okay. And of course, the third issue I will say is, how do we help them to become resilient, more resilient? And this is where I personally believe that the education is very important.
True.
How do we get them to be given the right knowledge? Okay, so how do you become resilient? How do you make them to be ready with the difficulties and the future challenges? you know um, I would not expect, I wouldn't we would not want to have another COVID. But if such things happen, another natural disaster, or economic crisis, and you see there like wars in different parts of the world, how do we make them more resilient? And that's where the important critical core skills need to be provided, right? They need to be equipped with all these critical core skills. We need to ensure that they understand, they need to be able to know how to solve problems. They need to be trained in critical thinking. They need to know how to do sense making.
True.
Now that goes back to the fundamentals, right, Marilyn? We talk about at home. When I was growing up, like I say, we come from a humble beginnings. I don't have a helper at home. I have to wash my own shoes. And I'm not sure about your generation, Marilyn, but I went to school wearing these white shoes where you have to scrub, and then you have to use there's this, like, I call it the chalk thingy that you have to paint onto your shoes, and you got to dry it in the sun. Everything we need to do, right? At the end of the
Yes.
day, I remember I got to soak my uniforms. I got to help, my mom, because I have two younger siblings. I got to iron my clothes. That whole life story makes me resilient. I know that nothing's going to come onto my silver platter. I got to work for it. You want something, you got to work for it. That has been the entire life. Now, my children's generation is so different, because we have, like yourself, right? We have helper at home. So how can I tell my children that, hey, you need to be resilient, you need to know how to solve problem. So the parenting style changes now.
True.
That somebody is going to wash their shoes, that somebody is going to serve the food on the table. They do not need to cook, they do not need to go to the market, right? I used to complain a lot when I was younger. 10 years old, my mom used to tell me, now I give you $10, go to the supermarket. People in my generations, they will remember this. There's this supermarket called Silo, and I have
Hmm.
to walk. Like, I remember I have to cross two big roads with my brother, and I have to hold my brother's hand. I was like 10 years old with this $10 and bring him to the supermarket to buy groceries. And I was complaining to my dad, why is mom asking us to go? Like, why is she torturing us? And I understand why. Because she wants me to learn how to take care of my younger brother. She wants
Hmm.
me to learn how to use that $10 to buy all those groceries and then come back. So yeah, life experiences teach you. So how do we make now, how do we support our employees to be that resilient, because they don't have that life, the same life history or life experience like ours,
True.
you
Yeah,
know?
thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate how you actually defined and identified all these challenges that most leaders do face, at least especially for your experience, right? And you've been working a lot in big corporations and still serving big corporations at this time. And these are like quite commonality for most leaders, right? Engaging and motivating in employees, which of course in turn will encourage or help as well in not only attracting talents, but also retaining the talents that you want to have, especially the right talents that you want to have in your organization, right? And added to that is your next statement about like how do you go about it now that I believe in the next years, or within these 10 years, we will even have like more challenges because we will have about four to even up to six generations, right? That we will have to lead in every organization. And I had several conversations with clients around that space on how do you actually like uh, deal and handle multi-generational employees, right? Because again, talking about back to the resilience part that you've shared, including your own experience and story around resilience and how your parents actually trained you to be more resilient, is actually quite different from the generations now, right? Where we can say that exactly because we have children of different generations, right? And I have a long way to go. The generations of my children, I have a child in 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s all together at the same time, right? And each like generation will have different challenges that they face, would even have like different, of course, solutions, right, that they have to think of, and ways to be resilient as well. And again, you've mentioned that we have to prepare them for this VUCA world, right? We can't get away from that, right? And what has COVID brought about in our life is really to understand what is VUCA, right?
Exactly. You're right.
And nobody's prepared for COVID-19, like as if someone actually like press like a pause button for everyone, right? Nobody can go to school, nobody can go to work, like nobody was prepared for that, right? But again, like most leaders actually rise during these difficult situations, right? So I really appreciate how you actually like identified all these reality or problems that most leaders do face. But definitely we will not leave them with all these problems, although you've mentioned some solutions as well, like I mean, preparing them, developing them, continuous learning is just part of like what they can do to be able to handle, to be prepared for VUCA world and this situation, for them to be resilient, right? So,
Mm.
but what else, right? What are the important leadership capabilities, skills? You've mentioned around critical core skills earlier, and these are soft skills. And that actually made me think, like, because when I started in the learning and development space, right, I do a lot of capability based or technical niche programs in the oil and gas industry. But what I realized that as a learning and leadership consultant, this is not enough. They have to integrate those capabilities and skills with soft skills, or what you've mentioned earlier on critical core skills, right? Because at the end of the day, you always have to deal with people, and that's part of working, right? Whether you're a leader, a manager, or even an individual contributor in the organization. So, and if you were to identify all these important leadership skills and capabilities, how would you actually relate it in your own experiences or story? If you can give us an example or case study, perhaps.
Okay. Marilyn, as a leader,
Mm-hmm,
I think the most important, I would say, important philosophy
mm-hmm,
or principle is for me, I
mm-hmm.
have to say, never stop learning.
True.
Okay, and you've heard many gurus, many leadership gurus, and many successful entrepreneurs. Um, the one thing that I practice myself is self-discipline.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, many people will give excuses for not upgrading themselves, for
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to, for not able to read, even as simple as reading
Mm-hmm.
or acquiring new knowledge. I think my personal principle is a lot is all about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you want something, you got to work for it.
True.
Okay, nothing is just going to happen magically in front of you, and you know, you cannot expect the knowledge to just come to you. You really
Mm-hmm.
have to search for it. And so I think that to why I mentioned about self discipline is this. um, as a leader, if you want to be able to lead effectively, you must know how to lead your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Self leadership is the utmost important criteria that I would say that you need to have before you even want, or you even aspire to lead others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean by being to have that self leadership skills? It means that before you can even go down and tell your team members, your staff, your employees to say that, look guys, you need to upskill yourself because we need to manage this new system, we need to manage this new software. But you are so complacent, and you are so contented with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So as leaders, I continuously read, and I search for new knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as hoping that it will just, like I say, it will somebody will tell you. Okay, you really need to go out. I Okay, like any other leaders, we are all very busy. Okay, we work more than 12 hours. And as a business owners myself, my day starts very early in the morning, and I will go to bed very late in the evening. But you need to be self-disciplined to dedicate pockets of your time for your self upgrading, for your self learning. And now, because of COVID, I grow to learn, and I grow to like listening to audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
you know because I used to read a lot, but I find that reading takes a lot of time, because you really got to get the book, or the ebooks, to sit down and read. So now, I can listen to audiobooks while I'm driving, while I'm doing something, or
Mm-hmm.
preparing breakfast more for my family. So honestly, there is no excuse at all if you really put in effort to learn new stuff. So as leaders, you always need to learn, and you got to learn more than your team members, because
Mm-hmm.
that will empower you to be able to give a better strategy, to share your knowledge, to share your vision. You need knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
So I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but what I'm hearing from you, I hope I got it right. I was asking for important, whether it's leadership capability, skills, mindset, or capacities, or even like what you mentioned, principles, right? But what I heard from you are three things, which is definitely you have to never stop learning or be a continuous learner. The second one is to have discipline to do so, right? To follow through. And the last one is self leadership, because that's actually the way you can actually lead others as well, by starting to lead yourself. It always starts with you, right? And there's this saying that, you win things when you are actually winning yourself as well. It starts with the inner game, right? To
Exactly.
like for that to manifest outside of yourself, you have to work on yourself first. You have to do inner works as well, right? So before I moved on to the next question, again, I appreciate this conversation because we are really very passionate about learning and leadership ourselves. And I just want to acknowledge Bless for watching us live today. Thank you so much. I love you for supporting for supporting me always and us. Yeah, so thank you so much for your support. And for those who are actually joining us, whether it's a replay or on a recording, do share with us your questions. I'll be tagging Yati so that she can answer those questions or additional questions. And at the same time, if you have any takeaways that are very important for you, feel free to share with us in the comments as well. And so that leads me to my last question for you, that this is a very open question, which I would normally say is my Miss Universe questions, right? So, if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it?
Okay, Marilyn, I am in the education business.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, now I'm moving away from the story about my leadership,
mm-hmm,
journey, right? For me, if I'm given the magic wand, my vision is to offer learning and education to be made accessible and affordable. As simple as that.
wow. And how
Yeah.
does that look like? If I
Okay.
mean, not everyone knows that it's your vision. Would you like
Exactly.
to share more?
Sure. So you see, because you know I have schools, right? Schools for children, schools for adults. We run training organizations that provide professional development courses and all that. When we come to affordability, if you look at the academic courses, generally, not everybody actually has the opportunity to go for a formal education. Not everybody can go through that smooth journey and then eventually go into the Institute of Higher Learning, like in the universities.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, for many reasons, affordability, no time and all that. But right now, with the use of technology, all this can be made possible.
true.
You know, you can learn, you can acquire education without having to travel. You do not need to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to go to the university. You can do it virtually. So it is accessible, it is affordable now, and education is the only way for them to be able to get better jobs, and
True.
hopefully they will get more pay, and eventually, in general, they will improve their quality of life. So that is actually the whole ecosystem that I like to create.
Yes, that sounds very exciting. And again, even without the magic wand, I believe you have been doing this for quite some time already and starting to like make this vision or this wish or whatever you want to call it using your magic wand to create it as a reality for others as well. I mean, we're working together and we're all doing our best to reach out to more professionals or even business owners to help them upskill in order for them to not only like be able to have that again promotions or be able to smoothly transition to another career, which is very like common nowadays because of as a result of the pandemic, right? And at the same time for businesses to be able to like how can we actually continue to grow our business as well, right? And one of the ways to do this is of course through learning, investing in themselves. And we're not saying that because we're in the education business or we're very passionate about learning and leadership. We ourselves are actually investing a lot on ourselves from mentoring, masterminds, coaching, and other programs that we really invest in not only time but also financial investments, right? And that's what really I appreciate as well working with your team, is because you're really like investing a lot as well in the team in terms of them investing in themselves and reminding them like what are the important things in life. I mean, because that's part of, again, going back to what you've said, building your resilience, right? Because you will be able to do that only when you actually have balance and you're addressing every aspects of your life. And obviously it's not only about the money, right? Yes, it's important to have money and to earn a lot of it or more of it or enough for you to actually provide for your family. But of course you have to satisfy your health, your mind, your body, and everything else in your life, right? So there has to be a balance on that. So I really appreciate you for like doing all these, especially in the same space where I'm very passionate about, around learning, education, and leadership as well. So thank you so much for that. And before we end our conversation, is there anything more that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Okay. Okay. I think both of us, yourself and myself, we are definitely a role model of a lifelong learner. Okay. I think as leaders, Marilyn, we are role models ourselves. Just like how I started this conversation by saying that I observe how my parents behave and how they communicate and how they they deal with others, right? How they speak with others with compassion, with empathy. Okay, so I think it's the same thing. As leaders, we are like parents to the employees.
Mhm.
The employees actually watch quietly or loudly, but they observe. So we have to walk the talk, right? So
True.
if we want to get our team members to embrace this self upgrading or self learning, to acquire knowledge, to be mastery of whatever they're doing. We need to show them that likewise we are with them, together in the same journey and the same path. We cannot just tell people to do something, but you're not even practicing it. So that's not the value of a leader. That's all I'm saying. We are role models. Leaders are actually role models.
Yes, thank you so much for that important message. And again, as parents, as leaders, whether it's in our family, in our organization, we all have to be a role model for us to lead and to share with them like we're walking the talk, right? Because action speaks louder than words at the end of the day. So, thank you so much for sharing with us your experiences and your take and insights around leadership. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we finally had this conversation. So thank you so much again, Yati, for taking time to have this interview. And of course, thank you for those who are watching us live or even on a replay. And with that, we would like to invite everyone to join us in these activities and in these several interventions, because we know we can create a better world to live in, right? And remember that even the richest investors in the world say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life. So with that, thank you again, Yati, and thank you, everyone. And we would like to leave you with this quote that if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you, Yati, for being our excellent leader today. Thank you so much, and bye for now.
Thank you, Marilyn. Bye.